Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm 10 years old and my dad was Corporal Lee Scott. He died in Afghanistan in 2009 when I was just 7 months old.
My name is Paul Howard. I was your dad's troop sergeant in Afghanistan on that tour. There'll be times when I may need to pause, just because of the things that are surfacing in my head. But it's nothing to worry about. Just ask any questions that you like to ask about your dad, and I'll tell you to the best of my ability.
So my mum's told me lots of things of how he was silly and he joked a lot, but was there another side of Daddy when he was working, I think?
Yeah, there was many sides. There was many sides to your dad. Playing, mucking about, being sort of like, one of the lads. But also there was a serious side to him as well, when things didn't get done. So if he was given a task to do, he would get on with the troop and go away and do that task. And if people weren't pulling their weight with that task, he would sort of start either shouting at them or get them to do other tasks, to do jobs, basically. But most of the time, and that you didn't need to. We didn't have to be that serious. Only when we was out on patrols, that's when the level of camaraderie come down, and then the seriousness then sort of come into play. But 9 times out of 10, and that, your dad was all about having a laugh and a joke, being fun to sort of be around. He was that kind of guy. He was the kind of guy that you'd want around, that you'd want with you. When things got tough, he would then be able to help boost the morale of the lads and all that kind of stuff.
If someone wasn't doing the thing that was supposed to be done, would he make them do that or do something else, and then they would have to do it?
Yeah, he would just tell them. He would then non-stop. Most of the time, and that when your dad told somebody to do something, they went ahead and did it. There was very few times when someone might sort of go against what he said, but he might just then have to explain exactly what he wanted doing in the first place. But 9 times out of 10, and that he just told them what to do, and they would get on. They would get on with it. There was a time when we just picked up a load of guys from one of these crossing points. This is different troops from different regiments. They're in a different area. We had to pick them up and take them to a new location. So we'd started off early in the morning, just because the sun was just so hot. You get up to 70 degrees inside those vehicles, so you were really, really sweating. And then by the end of it, when we got to that location, there was water. It was a wadi, which is it's like a river here, like the River Ouse that you've got here, with fast running cold water. And I remember your dad turning around to myself and Terry, and asking, look, can we go into the water? So, as soon as we got there, and we're like, right, as long as you've done this, and this, check your weapons, looked at the vehicles, then then the lads can then go in. But myself and Terry also knew that he wouldn't do that. So straight away, we knew that the lads went straight into the water to cool off, because it was so hot. Myself and Terry, we were off doing other things, and the lads were then able to cool down. Your dad, sorted out, protection whilst they were in the water, so none of the bad guys could come along. but we knew that he would get it done eventually.
So he was the commander.
Yeah.
So would the commander like tell the person where to drive it? Is that what he did?
Yeah, so basically within in his crew there was him and a lad called Paddle, Trooper Rowe, and they were in the same vehicle. We'd be talking on the net so that every vehicle can then speak to each other. He would be telling his driver, right, yeah, move here. He'd also be telling there's a thing called a barmer team. These are guys that would come out the back of the vehicle, would go to the front, and then just make sure that the ground was good for the vehicles to travel along. There was no traps or anything like that there. So, you know, he would talk to them. He would also talk to vehicles behind as well, telling them to either speed up, slow down. You know, it was a lot of 360 degrees sort of like awareness of everything around him, and that is what his job was to do. Whether he was leading the convoy or whether he was in the middle of the convoy, because he was the troop corporal. He then had the power and the authority to be able to tell people what to do, which he quite liked.
I kind of understand that because one of my friends lost their dad when they were 7 days old, and he was one that would check there was nothing there.
Yeah.
So I kind of, when you said that, I was like, oh, so his dad did that, and then my dad told the other people to bring forward if he told them that they could do. Is there like a story that whenever you think about it, or whenever you hear someone say it, or when you talk about it, makes you laugh? Like, is there a favourite time?
Yeah, I think my favourite one is when we were. It was when we was in Afghan again, and that we'd gone out on doing a patrol. Now, your dad being a crew commander, and he was one of the youngest, and that within 2 RER to actually achieve it. You know, he would then manoeuvre off. Well, we'd gone into areas where we'd never been before, and we were just sort of just going into those areas to make sure there were no bad guys left there, and then moving up to a certain point. Well, within sort of like the tanks, getting bogged in is not a good thing. That means so when you're bogged in, it means you cannot move your vehicle anywhere. The tracks are stuck. They're either sliding and all that, but you cannot get out of that position. Well, you know, your dad would always turn around and say, you know, laugh with the lads and that about how what a good commander he was and all of that, and how he'd never get bogged in. Well, this day he got himself bogged in, but he didn't do it once. It happened actually twice within a space of about 200 metres or so. So, you know, he didn't really live it down that well, because it meant that he had to get up onto the net and tell everybody that he was bogged in. So that then he just got an onslaught from all the guys, and that with regards to him being bogged in. But we soon got him recovered out, and he was like, yeah, I won't do that again. 200 metres down the road, and that he gets himself bogged in again. And then, you know, that night back in Shorecap, which was a FOB, which we was in, which is a forward operating base. Big area, just somewhere where we could rest and recover. He took an onslaught on that from what had happened that day. So, but he always gave as good as what he got, and he would also turn around and say to the guys, you know, if they were taking the mickey too much, they'd be on guard duty for later on that day, which is a thing you didn't want to be on. Yeah.
Well, can you remember the first time Daddy did like a mission on his own?
Yeah, so we'd had to come out of Bastion, which was a massive base, which was where we all went. You know, you had 10,000 troops in there, and plus of that. Went down into a place called Nadal Alley, and we'd gone down. We had to go to a place called PB Silab, which is a patrol base. It's smaller than a FOB, but it allows the troops to rest and recuperate and to build from there to go out on their patrols. So we went in there. There was one troop was already based there, but they were out. They were dealing with an incident on the ground. Once they said that we could collapse and go in and move into the PB, we did. We moved in. When we got in there, there was another job to be done to go further up into Nadal Alley to go and protect this truck. This truck had gone out and needed recovering, and time was sort of getting against us. So your dad straight away said, like, right, well, I'll do that. And so your dad went out, and for myself and Terry, it was like letting your young child go out on their own. We were such a tight knit troop and a squadron. We worried about what was going to go on, whether they're all right and all that kind of stuff, and that bit like your mum does with you if you're going out to play and stuff like that. So, but he come back happy as Larry, jovial and jumping around, and we then sat down, had a chat, and see whether there was anything he would do differently, whether we would do anything differently, and whenever there was just a small chance to go out on the ground on his own, he would take that, so on and so forth. This was when he could then, command his own section and be the boss, which your dad loved being.
Is there any time where my dad would joke around too much and then wouldn't get the job done?
He took his job seriously to the extent of, especially when we was there, with regards to him mucking about too much. I think he always knew when to do it and when to draw the line of not mucking about.
I have a memory box,
Yeah.
and it's a Winnie the Pooh box because when I was younger I loved Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And inside I've got loads of things from when I was little. So I've got my dad's grey jumper that he used to wear, and I have a picture of him wearing it when I was born.
Yeah.
And I will have loads and loads of little letters and things. Yeah. And Kai, my older brother, was 5 when our dad died, and he has letters, and Mummy has letters. Yeah. And one of the letters says, "I can't wait to come home and give you lots of kisses and cuddles." And that kind of reminds me that I never did come home, and that's what always sets me off crying. Yeah. So Mummy will tell me stories of how he used to try and get my mum to, he used to try and ask her out, and my mum would always say no.
Yeah, there was loads of times when we was in Shawcat, or even if we were back in Bastion and that, any downtime there was on that, your dad would start writing letters to you, your mum and Kai. Even there was there were times when times when we'd be sitting around the fire. So we'd have a fire of a night time and that, because it would get a bit chilly. You know, he would organise all of that. He would then sort of delegate who was cooking and all that kind of stuff and that, and be able to then go off and write letters. You know, he would listen to music. There was a specific song in that called "Wish You Were Here," and you know, a couple of times on that he would play that while we were cooking food. But sometimes you'd also hear it in that when he was writing letters and stuff like that. Because I know he missed you all and that really badly and that, and he would always talk about how when he come home he was going to take you all on holiday. He was going to reconnect with you all and take you away and do family things, and that was his main thing. His main goal was you, your mum, and Kai. That was it.
So when Dad was in the army, Mummy told me that I have a CD in my memory box of him reading the story of Giraffes Can't Dance, because it used to be my favourite book when I was little, and I had this exact copy that I used to have when I was little still on my bookshelf, and I'll read it, and it kind of reminds me of Daddy because he read that story to me. So I pictured in my head what I thought my dad would sound like.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I'd heard his voice in 9 years from when he died, because I couldn't remember literally anything of my dad.
Yeah.
There's a couple of videos and things on Mummy's phone, and there's one where he's holding me at Disneyland Paris, and Kai's really little, and we've just come off a ride, which was really special because Mum said that he loved, he would do anything for us, and he loved us to bits, which was really special to hear.
Yeah, he did. You know, his love for you and that was totally unconditional. You know, whenever he got the chance to phone, you know, we had the sat phones, which is basically it's like a mobile phone, but it's secure. And whenever he got a chance to use it, he would use it, and he would get other guys. So he'd be nabbing their cards and that, and then using that. So you know, he was then able to phone your mum. You know, we knew it meant so much to all the lads, but especially like, you know, your dad, and that to be able to phone home.
When my dad died, Mummy told me that Daddy hadn't been phoning home for quite a while, and then when the 2 cars came into our cul-de-sac, she knew that he hadn't phoned home because he had died, and that's when stuff started really getting bad. My brother came home that day and was so excited because he had he had made us.
Hey, come on. That one would have been for Canberra. One of the reasons being is I think that's a can of lager, and that in your dad's hand. He's wearing the Egypt cravat, so it would be something to do with Canberra. I would have thought, which is the battle honours for the regiment. Yeah, and he's standing outside. I believe that's his tank. Just having a pose, as he was a bit of a poser and that in front of the camera. Always liked to take photographs.
That's me right there.
Or being a part of a photograph.
Sometimes I'm just like we'll go to places to do the charity, like school and things, and there'll be, so we went last year, we went to Tidworth again, and we went to the army camp, and because they asked us to do a stall, and so Mummy allowed me to go look at the tanks, and I look how big the tanks are. I'm like, how did my dad do this job? And on my mum's phone, she has, so I sat in the same spot as my dad did, and she's done where she's cut the photos and she's put them together. So it has my dad on the top and then me on the bottom, which was really, really cool because when I saw the picture, I was like, I sat there.
Yeah, definitely. Really cool. So, you know, following in your dad's footsteps. With this photograph, this is downtime. We're out on the ground.
Hey, it's Mo.
Yeah, you got a few.
Was this Joe?
I believe that is Joe.
Yeah,
because I think that is Adam. That is Adam Guyton there. Tom.
Looks like this type of hair he has every day.
Yeah. But what they're doing is they're playing Scrabble.
Oh, okay.
So they're playing Scrabble now. I don't know whether they're playing for money or not, but they might well have been, just for sort of like $1, just to make it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, they'd never come out with any big words. It was all sort of like 3 or 4 letters. But yeah, that was the kind of thing that would happen within our sort of like battle boxes, which is where you then put the tanks around.
Like in a box.
Yeah, in box formation. We then got protection, so that's when we would then allow the lads to take their body armour and all that kind of stuff off, and relax a little bit depending upon where they were.
Joe is now like my stepdad.
Yeah.
So if Joe isn't my stepdad, I probably wouldn't really get to see Mo and Susie and that as much. But Joe will. So we'll be sat in the van because we have a van, and he'll tell us stories of him, and then he'll tell us stories of when him and my dad were out on tour and things like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, he'll have a lot of stories to tell on that. Will Joe and Mo and a lot of the other lads. This photograph, trying to give any clues of where we are. I think we might be actually in Bastion. So that one there was.
I have this pictograph in a frame.
Yeah,
on my desk.
He's more like when we was in Bastion, ready to roll out, because a lot of lads and that would sit on the top because we might have to wait a little bit before we were allowed out the gate, and or we needed to do more things.
Do these like gate things stay on, or do they come off?
These?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those you can take them off because they sometimes need to be replaced.
Oh, okay.
And that because they're there to stop bad people trying to hit us with an explosive. And that, but yeah, they protect the vehicle, but they also protect the guys within the vehicle.
Oh, Mummy told me that when he does like that sign, he used to do it all the time, and so whenever I do it, I go, I'm doing the daddy move.
So I remember me telling you about being bogged.
Yeah.
Being bogged in. Well, that is your dad being bogged in. So that was the first time. No, actually, I think that was actually the second time he was actually bogged in, because he'd actually gone in deeper than what he was the first time. So he was taking a lot of stuff off the net from the other lads, taking the mickey out of him, and all that kind of stuff. I know that they did. Lads and that had asked him to pose for a photo. and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I think he's giving it 2 fingers. You know, your dad always had a smile on his face, and he would never give up. He would never give up on anything. You know, it proves it with sort of when he was determined to ask your mum out and to be able to go out with your mum.
And he finally did.
Yeah, exactly.
I have an assembly in around 3 weeks' time, and we have to do a mayor dance.
Yeah.
And so today we got the mayor dance finished, and we're just trying to practice it and perfect it and things. But I would not let them go and play. I was like, nope, we are doing this mayor dance.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very much like your dad. And I do see a hell of a lot of your dad in you. You know, you look so much like him, and you've got a hell of a lot of personality of how he was, and all that kind of stuff. And I think you'd have been proud of your dad. And I really do, and I think he'd be massively proud of you as well. Yeah, and it's very difficult for all of you, and that with the passing of your dad. It's magnificent that Scotty's Little Soldiers has taken off. Your mum thinking of that, and you and Kai playing your part within it. And that's something that Lee would be massively, massively proud of, because he loved children. He loved you and Kai. He loved children completely, and he loved to be able to fool about with yous and play with your toys. Because in a lot of respects, and that he was a big kid at heart.
I'll tell Mum that I think Dad would be really, really proud of you, because you set up a charity. And so I'll say, like, I'm really, really proud of you, and I think Dad would be, because you've helped so many children that have gone through the same as me, Mum, and you have done an amazing job of it, and I think Dad would be like, go Nicky!
yeah, he would, and that, I'm sure he's looking down on using that every day, without a shadow of a doubt. And that is what he'll be doing wherever he is. That is definitely what he'll be doing. He'll be watching over and making sure you're all okay, and making a go of life as well. That's the other thing, and that is you're making something of yourselves, and that through for later on in life, and you'd be massively proud of that.
Thank you for telling me more about my dad. It's really helped me, because now I know things I never knew of my dad, and it will help me understand more about him.
Yeah, and I'm privileged to be able to tell you and sit here and talk about Lee. It perks me up, and that to be able to give you the information. I'm glad that I've been able to give you a different side to your dad, other than sort of what the other lads have seen as well. But I would say, and that is, speak to more of the lads, and that they will have so many more stories.
Thank you.
87% of our beneficiary families have said that they feel like they've lost connection with the military community, yet 91% of these families strongly feel that the bereaved British Forces children should remain connected to the military community. Paul and Brooke kindly agreed to take part in the film today in the hope that more of our families will be reconnected with their military communities. If you served with someone who lost their life, why not get back in touch with their family? I'm sure they'd be so pleased to hear from you. If you've lost touch with them, why not get in touch with Scotty's, and we can see if we can help you reconnect. Please share, and please reconnect.